Let's talk about how to use AI video to create an e-commerce ad like this.
When I need to hydrate my skin fast, I use Aura Dew.
Honestly, I'm actually obsessed with this glow. I've been using Aura Dew for a week and my skin feels so plump and hydrated.
If you're new to IIMAGINE, it's a comprehensive ecosystem for AI entrepreneurship. It does have a free plan, so feel free to check it out. The link's in the description. Now let's get started. So for this, we'll head into my studio, and from my studio, let's just click Add New Project. I'm going to call this DTC Add 2. Let's make it vertical, and then click Create Project. So what we have now is all the different steps required to complete all of this. So we'll start by creating a script, and then we'll break that down into scenes, and then we'll break that down into elements, which will be the starting images that we'll use to create video, and then we'll create the scene videos. So let's start with a script. Now you've got two options. One of them is to enter your existing script here if you already have one, or you can create one with AI. Now, if you want to create one with AI, you'll obviously click AI generation, and then you'll click the production type. So you can use this to create commercials, user-generated content, film, or educational how-to type videos. I'm only going to talk about creating commercials in this video. So go ahead and click commercial, and then decide how long you want it to be. So let's just make it 30 seconds for the purpose of this video. Now, this is where we'll enter some information about our ad. So I'm going to make an ad about a fictional skincare product called Aura Dew. So I already created a test with it, so hopefully all of this information is already pre-populated for me. So I'll just copy that. Now there's a question about the unique selling proposition. So it's important to point out that we're making a real ad. We're not just playing around with AI video for the sake of it. We want to create an actual ad that will sell. So in order to do that, we need a script. And if you want to create a script that sells, you need to be clear about your USP. So in this case, it's natural ingredients. The target audience is women aged 20 to 40. The pain point is dry skin. So now let's select the ad framework. So there are three options here. We'll be adding more of these over time. You can see the first one is problem, agitation, solution. So this is a sales copy framework that starts by highlighting the problem, and then it agitates the problem, which usually means that it describes the terrible consequences of the problem, and it does that to make the user feel like they really should want to solve this problem. And then in the end, it presents the solution, which of course is your product. So let's use this framework. And there are some optional fields here for the hook, the call to action, what you want your key characters to look like, the locations for the ad. Now, if there's something specific that you want that isn't addressed by any of those fields, you can enter that information into this additional guidance section at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Generate Script. Okay, so let's see what it created for us. So this is basically a description of the entire commercial. It's got a title, which is Aura Dew, Pure Dew for your skin, 30 seconds. The framework is a problem, agitation, solution. The cast, so in this case, it's suggesting that there's a woman in her late 20s that will be the relatable protagonist. If you don't know what protagonist means, it's basically film speak for the lead actor or the person that moves a story along. There's also going to be Maya, that's the friend, and there's going to be a voiceover. There's some suggestions for music, and now you've got scene 1 and scene 2 and scene 3 and scene 4 and scene 5. So if you look at these scenes, each one's broken down by a location, a visual, on-screen text, or the voiceover, and then the camera setup and some effects. Now if we look at maybe scene 2, so scene 1 didn't include any dialogue, but scene 2 includes dialogue. So in this case, this is going to be Maya, the friend, saying, "Are you okay?" to Emma. Emma responds by saying, "My skin is so tight today," and so on and so on. So you can go ahead and regenerate this, or you can go ahead and edit it. So for example, if I don't want that word, let's just remove it. Let's click Save Script. All right, so now that we're done with the script, let's go to the next step, which is the scenes. Now, there are no scenes, but all I need to do is click this one button, and the AI will extract scenes from that script. Now, these scenes are really AI prompts for an image. So the AI will generate these prompts for you, and here it is. So now you can see that this is the same as the information we had before, except that it's removed all of the extraneous information and only includes basically the information required for a prompt. So as usual, you can edit it here if you like, but let's just move on and go to elements. So what is an element? In this case, the skincare is probably going to be a bottle. So that's the product. That's one element. It's probably going to involve a demo from a woman standing in a bathroom. So the woman is a character. That's another element. The bathroom is a location. That's another element. But if you don't understand what any of that means, we've created this feature that allows you to do it all with one click. If you just click Generate Elements, it'll go ahead and review your script and your scenes and literally just tell you what your elements are, and it will set up an AI prompt that will be ready to use to generate each element. The element can be a starting image when you generate your video, or you can combine elements to create a composite image, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so the elements have been generated. You can see that it's generated 2 characters. You can see it's generated 2 characters, 6 locations, 11 objects, and 1 other. So if we look at the characters, we've got Maya and Emma, so that's obviously the friend and the protagonist. And this is the prompt. If we click on the edit icon, this is the image generation prompt right here. So this is what you're going to be using. You can obviously edit it if you like, but the AI has literally already created it for you based on the information that you set up when you set up the scenes. So let's just click generate and see what we get. And this is Emma. Let's see what we get for her. Okay, so in order to move the video along, I've just generated an extra image here. So now we've got 2 versions of Maya and these versions of Emma. Now, the other option is that you can also just upload your own image in case you already have a character in mind. You don't have to generate a new one. So I've uploaded this image of a character that I used in a different ad. You can see that she's holding a different product. So what we'll do now is, so what I'm thinking as I'm working through this ad is I'd like to actually use this character as my main character, and I want to see her holding the product and saying something about how good the product is. So in order to do that, we need one element, which is this character. And now let's also go take a look at the objects. So if you scroll down, so you can see that the AI has created a template for every object. A serum drop, a coffee cup, bathroom mirror, a smartphone, etc., etc. Obviously, the most important one is the product itself. So I've generated a couple of different versions here. The first version was just a bit plain, so I just played around with the prompt a little bit to just get a little bit more, to get some more graphics on the label. So all of that is just generating images. It's obviously pretty simple and pretty standard. You might have to generate them a couple of times to get exactly what you want. Now, the next step, though, is a little bit more important. This is where we have to create a composite image. And the composite image will combine the character that we want and the product image that we want into one image. Now, this is where we'll enter the prompt. Now, you can see that there's an option here for basic and an option for advanced. I recommend 9 out of 10 people just stick with the basic. The advanced version is actually for filmmaking, and it gives you a lot more control with camera movements and a lot of other things that I'm not going to get into today. I'll make a separate video about how to use the platform to create a short film. For now, let's just create something simple, and I'm going to say something like, put the woman in the bathroom of the same house and make sure she is holding the bottle of Eau de and looking at the camera. I realized I forgot to give this a title, so let's just call it Woman in Bathroom. And let's go ahead and click Create Composite Image. All right, so that's finished. Now the composite images usually end up in the other section. All right, so you can see that I've done this twice. I'm just wondering if maybe that bottle is a little bit too big. As always, you might have to regenerate this 2 or 3 times to get exactly what you need. It's all looking very good, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. So what we want to do now is create the video. So let's just choose scene 1. Now this content is inherited from the scenes that you set up at the beginning of this process. I've obviously decided to replace all of that with something that I've just invented, which is going to involve using this image as a starting image, because I've decided I want to use this character with this product. So this is where we put the prompt. So you could obviously work with the prompt that was generated by the AI based on all of the work that you did at the beginning of this setup. And that is usually the best thing to do if you're doing this in a way that's professional. But I'm trying to just do a quick demo video here, and I want to get this done quickly because I don't want this video to go on forever. So I'm going to make a decision to remove all of that. I'm going to say something like, the woman looks at the camera and says, when I need to hydrate my skin fast, I use Oradue. Now it's very important to make sure that you put quotation marks around anything that you want a character to say. If you don't use quotation marks, it won't work. Okay, you'll end up with a video that has no voiceover. And you want to make sure that you put a little bit more time and attention into your video prompts. Generating images with AI doesn't cost very much. Generating videos with AI is expensive. So put more time and attention into your prompts for video. I'm also going to be a little bit more cautious and add something like, her mouth moves in sync with the words. You know, that's not something that's always required, but it just increases the chances of getting what you need. Or to put it a different way, it decreases the chances of ending up with a video where maybe you can hear the voiceover, but her lips are not moving at all. Okay, now let's select a video model. If you select video and then select a duration, you'll see you can choose between 4, 6, and 8 seconds. If you select clean, you can see that you have other options. That's because different models support different lengths of video. Now, an important thing that a lot of people don't talk about and you need to keep in mind is that you need to make sure that, on the one hand, you don't make the video any longer than it needs to be because it's expensive, but it needs to be long enough for the scene that you want to actually play out. And in this case, we've got this dialogue that says, when I need to hydrate my skin fast, I use Oradue. So you need to make sure that the video is long enough for the voiceover that you actually want. If you don't do that, you'll often find that the character speaks ridiculously quickly to fit it all in if you select a short duration. Or alternatively, if you go with a long duration, you're probably just wasting money. All right, so I'm going to go with 4 seconds because I'm pretty sure this can fit into 4 seconds. And I'm going to click Generate Video. Now, this can take anything from a minute or 2 or 3 or even maybe longer sometimes. It just depends on the server load. So I'm going to come back when it's ready. All right, so the video is finished. Let's play it and see what we ended up with.
When I need to hydrate my skin fast, I use Oradue.
So I think that worked out pretty well. So now all you need to do is go back and create the other 2 or 3 scenes or whatever you need to make a 15-second ad, 30-second ad, whatever it is that you need. So there's 2 ways that you can use this. Obviously, you can go ahead and use it to create ads and videos for your own products, but you can also do this for other businesses and generate revenue from it. Now, I know that some of you want to use AI, but you don't want to do the work yourself. We do offer custom solutions and services. Check out the links in the description. So again, IIMAGINE has a free plan. Go ahead and check it out.